be further down the meeting, or?
The chair will be assigning the interpreter role.
Okay, thank you.
And announcing that we have interpreters. Madam Chair, it's 11 o'clock if you'd like to start.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Riverside County Transportation Commission Citizens and Specialized Transit Advisory Committee. Today we have a Spanish translator who is available for anyone wishing to utilize the service. If anyone would like Spanish translation during the meeting, turn to the translator to let her ask the audience in Spanish if anyone would like the service. If someone utilizes the service, we will pause after every 2 to 3 sentences to allow the translator to translate in Spanish.
Gabriella or Anna, did you want to ask anybody if they needed any assistance in Spanish speaking?
Of course, no problem. Buenos días. En esta sesión se les va a proporcionar el servicio de interpretación al español. Si alguien requiere el servicio de interpretación, por favor, háganoslo saber. De esa forma, si hay servicio de interpretación necesario, las personas van a darnos nada más unas 3 oraciones para que se nos permita a nosotros hacer la interpretación de forma consecutiva. ¿Alguna persona desea que se le haga la interpretación al español?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, then we will continue the meeting in English. If someone asks later, they will raise their hand or try to communicate with us, correct? Okay.
Let me just announce that just in case. Oh, well, no, we don't have anyone right now. Never mind.
Not right now. Okay. So I will make some announcements right now. Again, thank you for participating in our meeting. We will do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation. Before we begin, I want to review some guidelines and general instructions. Please silence your other communication devices, such as your cell or desk phone. And this will ensure that we will not be hearing any feedback or causing interruption during the meeting. After each item, I will announce a public comment. For those on Zoom, if you would like to make a public comment on the Zoom screen, please click on Raise Hand button. If you are using Zoom on your smartphone, tap your screen, look for the More option, and then the Raise Hand button on the screen. For those calling in using the phone line only, you can dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to make a comment. With that, our next item is our roll call. Clerk, will you take a roll call, please?
Good morning. Lisa Castellon.
Good morning, here.
John Chavez. George Colangeli.
Here.
Betty Day. Alejandra Gonzalez. John Crick.
Here.
Jack Marty. Priscilla Ochoa. Mary Jo Ramirez.
Here.
Gloria Sanchez.
Here.
Yvette Woolridge.
Here.
Good morning.
Riverside Transit Agency. Here. Sunline Transit Agency.
Here.
John Chavez, have you joined us?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sure we have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to make comments on items not on the agenda?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. The public hearing, transit needs in Riverside County, presented by Eric DeHate. Eric?
Yes. Thank you, Gloria, Madam Chair, and the rest of the CSTAC members. So good morning. My name is Eric Ham, the transit manager here at Rctc. I have a PowerPoint for you as well. And today I'm going to be providing a short presentation and recommendation for today's public hearing. Next slide, please. So the item, public hearing on transit needs in Riverside County, is guided by the Transportation Development Act, also known as the TDA. In there, it states that the Transportation Planning Agency shall ensure that an establish and implementation of a citizens' participation process appropriate for each county. The process shall include a provision for at least one public hearing in the jurisdiction represented by Social Services Transportation Advisory Council. In Riverside County, the CSTAC is both the Citizens Advisory Committee and Social Service Transportation Advisory Council. Although the Commission allocates 100% of TDA funds to transit, we're required to have at least one public hearing. If the Commission intended to use TDA funds for streets and roads projects, then we need to go through another process called the unmet transit needs process. Today, just wanted to let you all know that the public hearing was advertised by transit operators, specialized transit providers, and other stakeholders on buses, facilities, and social media, as shown in the attachment to the staff report. Staff also published a 30-day hearing notice in the Press Enterprise, Desert Sun, and the Palo Verde Valley Times. This included multiple ways to also provide comments to RCTC. Comments are able to be provided through email, writing a letter. You can also go to RCTC's website and make a comment there, by phone, and also today at the public hearing. So, staff also recommends that the CSTAC hold this public hearing today meeting to receive any additional public comments. Staff will continue to work with transit operators to address the public comments received and support service improvements that will meet those needs. So, staff recommendation is for the committee to conduct a public hearing and receive comments on any transit needs within Riverside County. That's the last slide.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to open the public hearing today to receive comments about transit needs in Riverside County, particularly gaps of service and areas where coverage is needed. We encourage members of the public who have comments regarding specific drivers, missed route trips, or dial a ride, contact the service provider directly. Our role today is to listen to your comments and to work with staff and transit partners to have them addressed. The public hearing is now open. Clerk, you want to announce the written comments that have been received?
Yes, we received 34 written comments that were emailed to all of you this morning at about between 9 and 9:30, and all will be added to the public hearing today. And we have one hand raised.
So we have one hand raised. Are they ready to give a comment?
Ask them to unmute.
Can you unmute yourself and give comment? I just have a phone number. I don't have a name.
There we go.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, my name is Sister Casey. I sent my public comment online. I don't know if you got it.
I'm sorry,
But I can say, I sent my public comments online.
What was the name again, please?
Sister Casey.
Yes.
Yes, we received your public comment and they were forwarded to the CSAC members. And
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I also address it now or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted on the line 41 going to Mid Valley in the city of Paris. It's on Evans and Anira Court where the Porte homes are. There's a bus stop there, but it hasn't started. Some of us do need it. I don't know. First of all, I do want to say thank you to the commission. I forgot that. That was my first comment. Thank you for the great work you've done, especially during the pandemic, and still doing. And I do appreciate that, me and my riders. And I wanted to know how soon will you all work on opening the bus line going north to Mid Valley on the side of the Porte homes. The bus stop is already there. Are you guys following me?
Yes.
Okay. And that's my one request. My thank you and then my one request. And then the other request, I don't understand. Did you say we have to talk to Dial-A-Ride differently?
So I'll address. So usually when we get all the public comments, we do work with the transit operators to provide those public comments to them. So
Okay.
if you would like to also decide to talk to the Dial-A-Ride, sounds like this is going to be a RTA's jurisdiction. You would then you could also call RTA and make the same request as well.
Okay, but you have it and you can do it. Yeah, I was requesting that. Is it possible to lower the rate, like the 25 cents has been lowered, which we are grateful for the regular buses? Okay, that was the first one, and then the second one is how soon can Dial-A-Ride start coming to this community, the Porte homes, Stratford, please? Am I making sense? Did you understand me?
Thank you for your public comment.
Okay. Thank you. And I know you're not going to make a comment, correct? It's just that you heard me.
That's correct.
Okay, because I've been at the meetings in the past, in the early 20s, but I haven't been able to attend since. But I do want to say that I am a senior, and we do need that help. Lowering the fare, like you did the 25 cents, and also opening the ride to Paris on the side of the Stratford homes, the Porte homes, because there's no more construction on that side. The construction is way behind towards the high school, Rancho High School. So it's kind of safe where the bus stop is. All right, and one more time, I do appreciate you guys for the hard work you are doing. And I do want to say that you have great drivers. The drivers are so patient. Even with one day we had, a guy that was off at the Paris bus station, and the drivers were really kind. Nobody said anything, but just called the security, called the police, and everything was calm. Thank you so much, y'all. At least you can answer me.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay, shalom.
Next, I see we have Xavier Padilla.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm not sure if this is the time to start making the comments. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that there's an agenda right now, and I saw that there's comments at the very end. I wanted to go ahead and discuss a bus stop near one of our high schools. Is that something that I can discuss now, or do I wait to the end for where I saw on the agenda stated comments?
You can address that comment now through the public hearing process.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Hey, so again, my name is Xavier Padilla. I'm one of the academic counselors here at Liberty High School. And for those of us that live out here near the border of Winchester and Menifee, we have a brand new high school out here. We have about 1,600, 1,700 students that just enrolled. We don't have a bus stop nearby. Now I know because it's a brand new school that, you know, things have to get done, things have to get processed. So I just wanted to put my voice in just in regards to if we could, when it's possible, look into putting a bus stop near our school. We have currently have 9th through 11th graders. We will have 12th graders. If you're not familiar with the area out here near Scotts and Leon, it's kind of isolated. And unfortunately, our busing situation through our district is a 5-mile radius. So if a child lives 3 miles from the school, they have to walk to school, or they have to find a way to get to school. If it's more than 5 miles, then we provide busing. So we have many parents that always ask us, Mr. Padilla, can you tell us the nearest bus stop? When I did get a hold of RTA informed me that the nearest bus stop to Liberty is quite far. So they would still have to walk at least a mile to get to our school. So as you all know, in today's age, whether they're a 9th grader or whether middle school, elementary school, having our kids walk alone early morning or after school is always something that's concerning. So if there's a way for us to get that bus stop out here, that would be great. That way parents have another way of being able to have their kid bus to school rather than having to walk 1 to 2 miles or 3, and even sometimes, God forbid, 4 miles one way to school. So just that's what I'm asking from the group, the committee. We would greatly appreciate it. And it's just me voicing, because I always get phone calls from parents, and I know it's a process, but the sooner the better. That would be great. And like I said, on a final note, when I did summer school here at Liberty, we had a suspicious car, trying to pick up kids, and that's what we don't want. So if we can get that going, that would be awesome. And I will end it there. And I appreciate you guys truly, and hopefully we see one soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comment. Next we have Marcia. I just want to remind our speakers they have 3 minutes for their comments. Oh, Xavier Padilla. Okay.
Next, we're on Marcia.
Marcia.
Hi, I am a resident of the Spencer Crossing subdivision, which is nearby the Liberty High School. I do have a student attending this year, and in order for her to get to school, it would be a long walk down a road that does not have sidewalks. And that 2.5 mile distance, there's a junkyard, there are buildings and housing that does not appear to be safe for my kids or any kids to walk by, that I'm concerned about. I do remember last year seeing a bus stop that stopped on Leon between Silky Lupine and I think it was Whispering Heights. If we could reestablish those stops for the kids that live in the 2 mile radius or less even, it would be much appreciated, because for us to drive our kids, I mean, it's such a traffic jam in the morning just to get through. It took 1 hour to drop my kid off, and I was only 2 miles away on the first day of school. So in order for her to be there on time, we have to leave extremely early. So if there was a bus, the kids could walk right up to Leon Road, get on the bus, ride down like 2 miles, get off for school, cross safely at the safe walk, and then, the same for returning home. And if that route could be put in place during the school days, or like Monday through Friday, or if there's any extracurricular, or even just for the school season, then that would be great. But whatever we can do to get that going immediately, I'm willing to work on any committee. You guys can reach out to me as well. I did call before and request for a stop early on. I'm not sure if you got that comment, but please note that we absolutely need something that's going to be able to take our kids safely to and from school from the distance of Silky Lupine, even Baxter. I mean, I'm sure there's probably more parents in Spencer Crossing that are attending Liberty, which goes, I think, as far back as Max Gillis. But I'm speaking specifically for the area between Silky Lupine as well as Whispering Heights, that area. If we can place a stop there on both sides of the streets, I would greatly appreciate it. And if there's any way you guys can follow up with me to let me know how we can work on getting this done, I'm available, okay? I can leave my information at there. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Do we have anyone else? I just want to remind the people who made comments that, you know, we're going to need to have, when we ask you to introduce yourself, the city or area that you're from, and a phone number or email address if you would like us to follow up with you. So I see some hands up. Jan Lee?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for giving us this opportunity today. I'm a resident of Temescal Valley.
Excuse me, Jan Lee, can you give us your full name, please?
I'm sorry, Jan Lee Watson.
Thank you.
Temescal Valley has over 26,000 residents. We're kind of tucked between Corona and Lake Elsinore along the I-15 freeway. We are an unincorporated county community. We don't have a bus route, so there's this huge gap. And I'm not going to repeat what I emailed. I just want to call to your attention that I feel the majority of those 34 emails you did receive came from Temescal Valley residents. I hope you will review each and every one of them and consider giving us a fixed bus route. We have two age-specific communities of about 2,300 homes, plus we're getting an assisted living center that's going to have 216 more dwelling units. These people cannot get dial-a-ride because they do not live within 3/4 of a mile of a fixed bus route. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Next, we have Tracy Davis.
Thank you. My name is Tracy Davis. I also reside in Temescal Valley. In addition to what Jan Lee just mentioned, I actually have a friend who lives in the community, and she really does need dial-a-ride. She has to walk nearly 2 miles to get to the closest bus route at Dos Lagos in order to get to the Stater Brothers Center where she works. She's able to work, but she's not able to drive. So and she's not, age qualified in one of these homes, assisted livings or anything like that. So it's not just, elderly people that need this. That's also the working people that may not have ability to drive. So that was my addition to my comment that I sent in. Thank you so much for letting us speak today.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Do we have any other hands raised?
I don't see any other hands raised. Oh, we have one more.
One more. Okay, Anthony, can you give us your full name, please?
Hi, I'm Anthony Garcia. I currently work at Sunline Transit Agency. I just want to bring this up that we have tried to change to hydrogen only vehicles, but we're having problems that they're breaking down on a daily basis and the steering wheels are getting hard. There's definitely a glitch in these systems for these buses, but people are stuck in 120, 115 degrees waiting on buses when they're being towed in. I asked that you look into these unsafe vehicles and help us provide a change as far as going forward with the technology. I mean, green is good, but these buses aren't working in the desert. They're creating a safety issue and also leaving passengers behind in a system that's not working to provide them to go to work, doctors, etc. Drivers are getting assaulted, spit on, and all because these buses are breaking down and the next driver is coming in and getting the heat from the passengers. I've been there for 26 years. I love my job. I just want, if we're going to continue on to change for hydrogen, we need to look into safety. The steering wheel's shut off. I mean, the bus shuts off without any warning, and the steering wheel gets hard, and it creates an unsafe working condition. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Next, we have Joey's iPhone. Or is this Anthony? Did we just?
Oh, I just spoke.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Joey's iPhone?
Yeah, yes. Hello, I'm a Sunline Transit Agency employee.
Joey's, can you give us your full name, please?
My name is Joseph Rake.
Thank you.
I've been a Sunline Transit Agency member for about 15 years now. I'm a resident of the Coachella Valley, and my topic mimics Anthony's, because we have buses that are breaking down. They shut off completely in the middle of the freeway, and when these hydrogen buses stop, you have to completely shut it off, wait for it to go through the motions again to restart, and then start it again, all hoping that you're not going to get rear-ended on the 10 freeway. These things will shut off like this in the middle of an intersection when you're making a turn. These vehicles are just not working in the desert at all. It is entirely too hot for these vehicles, and then we end up leaving passengers stranded, waiting for another bus, and then at times the next bus that comes up is broken down. I mean, we just had 2 buses broken down the other day, 2 buses towed in at the same time. We have chronic problems now with driver assaults, passenger assaults on buses. We've had attempted hijackings, and we've even had a murder on a bus. These things they're just not safe anymore. The whole service, something needs to be done. And we ask you to look into this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Do we have any other hands raised?
We have one hand raised.
Okay. Jan Lee?
Yes, thank you. I had a quick question. Are you going to be accepting any more comments, or is this it? I mean, like via email.
Staff, will you be receiving any comments via email?
Up to the close of the public hearing, we will receive any additional comments, and after that, it will be forwarded to the transit agencies through our normal process.
Okay. Did you understand that, Jan Lee? We'll be able to give comments via email?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other hands raised at this time?
Madam Chair, I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay. Now it is 11:29, and so we are closing the public hearing. It's now closed. On the consent calendar, is there anyone that wishes to comment on the consent calendar? If not, I ask for a motion and a second and ask that they identify themselves.
PBBTA with the motion, George Colangeli.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Mary Jo Ramirez.
Thank you, Mary Jo. We have a first and second. All in favor?
Oh, I have to do a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, a roll call vote. Yes, you're right.
Lisa Castellum,
Aye.
John Chavez,
Yes.
George Colangeli, Betty Day, Alejandro Gonzalez,
Aye.
John Crick,
Aye.
Jack Marty, Priscilla Ochoa, Mary Jo Ramirez,
Yes.
Gloria Sanchez,
Aye.
Yvette Woolridge,
Aye.
Riverside Transit Agency,
Yes.
Sunline Transit Agency.
Aye.
George Colangeli,
Yes, aye.
Madam Chair, the ayes.
Thank you. Approved. Next item we have is I have Maria's iPhone in front of me. Is that? Well, we're not a public hearing, so we can't move on to that one. Item 7 is the Transit-Orientated Community Strategic Plan presented by Jenny Chen. Jenny?
Good morning. I'm Jenny Chan, the Planning and Programming Manager at Rctc. I am leading our agency's first transit-oriented community strategic plan. In June 2020, the Federal Transit Administration awarded the Commission $700,000 in grant funding to develop the TOC plan. The grant enables the Commission to work with community members, private developers, and staff from the cities of Paris, Moreno Valley, Riverside, and Corona, and the March Joint Powers Authority, and transit operators to create a strategic plan for TOCs within the 5-mile radius of the 891 Paris Valley Line Metrolink stations in Riverside County. The TOC plan will provide policy and funding recommendations for communities to consider as they evaluate TOD-related projects in their jurisdictions. Today, we have Adam Malitsky from Stantec with a short PowerPoint presentation on the overview of our plan, highlight what we've been able to accomplish this far, and how you can provide input to our plan. And now I'll hand it off to Adam.
Great, thank you, Jenny. Good morning, committee members. Again, I'm Adam Malitsky. I'm with Stantec Consulting, and we are the lead consultant on the TOC strategic plan, and wanted to give an overview of what we're hoping to accomplish with this project, and then give a preview of some of the upcoming public outreach events, one of which is actually happening tonight in the city of Corona. So next slide, please. So this is an effort that's supported by 3 steering committees. So we have a technical advisory committee that we meet with quarterly, and that includes representatives from the cities, 4 cities along the corridor, staff that are participating in the review of deliverables and reports. We also have a developer advisory committee. So we met with about a dozen developers several months ago just to get their feedback on opportunities in Riverside County. And then a community advisory committee. So we've had one CAC meeting with representatives from a variety of organizations throughout the corridor, and starting to receive a lot of great input as to what the needs are within these 8 station areas. Next slide, please. So the TOC strategic plan is really will be a resource for the communities along the 91 and Paris Valley corridors. As you may know, there's been a significant amount of growth in Riverside County just in the past few years. The county is the 5th fastest growing county in the country. There's also, as you may know, a housing crisis here in California. So these stations represent an opportunity to really offer kind of a new mix of housing and mobility options to folks. So more affordable housing, a mix of market rate and affordable housing, giving people the opportunity to live near sort of high quality transit areas with access to, buses, rail, bicycle and pedestrian improvements. So the vision is to kind of leverage this opportunity and promote sustainable and equitable development. We want to increase access to jobs and housing, and again, give folks the opportunity to really use other modes of transportation. We recognize that private vehicles will definitely be part of the mix, but we'd like to sort of open it up and address any gaps in the pedestrian network or service improvements that will be needed in order to promote transit-oriented communities. Next slide. So just a quick slide here to show you the study area. So on the west, we have the 2 stations in the city of Corona. We have 3 stations, La Sierra downtown and Hunter Park UCR in the city of Riverside. Moreno Valley March Field, actually this station is within the March JPA, just outside of the city of Moreno Valley, but a lot of the bike ped transit connections originate from Moreno Valley, so a key partner. And then 2 stations in the city of Paris, so Paris downtown, and then the current terminal station at Paris South. Next slide, please. So what do we mean when we talk about transit-oriented communities? Shown here are 5 sort of principles of TOCs, as we call them. This is an image from a plan that was actually prepared a few years ago for the high quality transit area analysis project. This is a SCAG funded project, and this specifically was for the Riverside downtown station. So this is just a high level kind of concept of showing what possibly could be developed and what that might look like. So a few things to keep in mind. In order to support transit and boost ridership, you need a critical mass of folks sort of living and working near the station. And so that requires a mix of land uses, allowing people to, walk down the street to the store, to drop kids off at school, just making sort of daily needs and destinations accessible by foot, by bike, and transit. Really focusing on the street. So, as you may know, the 91 freeway cuts through 4 of the stations, and so that presents a considerable barrier for folks living across the 91 freeway from the Metrolink stations. And so we're exploring ways to make that walk more direct, safe, comfortable, especially as the planet is warming, temperatures are exceeding 100 degrees. How can we make improvements to the tree canopy and sort of other interventions so folks feel more comfortable walking, biking, taking transit. Parking certainly is always a part of the equation. We're talking about transit, but parking is still very important to consider, and so we want to preserve commuter parking at the station. Still providing that resource at the 8 stations, but looking at other ways, district parking. Looking at outside of the station, are there opportunities to reduce the parking requirements that we have? And then finally, creating a sense of place, right? Giving folks a reason to be at the stations, to socialize with neighbors and friends, and really help to create these sort of hubs and centers for the community. Next slide. So just a quick example. This is from downtown Fullerton. So you see the Fullerton Metrolink station there just off of Harbor Boulevard. And so the city has actually made over the past, 10, 15 years investments to reposition this area and kind of revitalize the Commonwealth Avenue corridor. And so they've created the SoCo district where they've invested in paseos and parks and, sort of interesting places for people to walk and shop and dine. There are a couple of projects. Malden Station, the lower left there, is a really great example. The kind of
Not right now, no.
Really
I'm in a meeting with
some
Zoom.
of the 8 Metrolink stations.
Yeah, no, but I could talk.
Looking at opportunities for shared parking, bringing in a mix of affordable and market rate housing. And I just want to make the point that, not.
Oh, you're going out that way.
Like Malden Station, there's also
okay.
which is a great example of higher density TOC.
All right.
So looking at,
okay.
2 to 3 stories.
All right. Well, be careful.
Homes.
Be careful.
Giving folks kind of a variety of options.
Yeah, be careful.
Slide, please.
Take your time. Don't speed.
Here's another example. It's kind of a
just cruise it.
Example of a TOC from Oakland. So this is on
okay, we don't.
All right. Stations up north.
Okay. Bye.
And, what's great about this the station is it's directly connected to the development here, and so you can easily board the train, walk through kind of a pedestrian environment, access, convenience, stores and shopping. There's a farmer's market. So it's a really safe space for people to sort of walk and bike through. And so, we're trying to see if we can create, similar environments near the Metrolink stations. Next slide. And just quickly, there are major benefits with TOCs, and certainly a benefit to the environment. So if more people are leaving their cars at home and taking, transit, whether it's RTA buses or, taking Metrolink into LA or Orange counties, there's a direct, reduction in vehicle miles traveled, greenhouse gas emissions. Economic benefits in terms of, if you concentrate investments near the station areas, you start to see opportunities for small businesses. You create retail environments that are conducive to walking, and that in turn, draws more, a larger customer base. People want to be in those areas. They want to shop in those areas. And then, socially, just providing comfortable public spaces for people to, again, socialize, meet their neighbors, and, a place where people feel comfortable walking. And then that in turn has, health benefits, direct health benefits as well. Next slide. So, so we've gone through a pretty extensive existing conditions process. We've, with Rctc, we conducted a site visit, walked through all of the station areas, and, these are just a few kind of high-level barriers and opportunities that we will address through this project. Looking at potential service improvements, we're really encouraged that RCTC received a TRISIP grant for the Paris Valley line because there are currently 8 trains that run along that corridor. And so, that grant will allow RCTC to explore more frequent service at those stations, which is critical for this plan. 90+% of people using Metrolink service are driving, unsurprisingly. So we're trying to see if we can still, provide that level of service and parking for commuters, but also, improving first last mile connections to the station if somebody wants to bike, walk, take transit. The market is different. So Corona and Riverside are fairly established markets in terms of development opportunities. You're already seeing a lot of TOC projects. Metro at Main is a great example in Corona. Mission Lofts is a great example next to the downtown Riverside station. But Paris Valley is going to take a few more years for the market to really start to support this kind of higher density development. It will come, but that's just something we have to be sensitive to. There are many opportunities. I mentioned the rapid growth in Riverside County, rising home values that makes, development projects pencil more feasible. We've heard about autonomous vehicles and how that's going to be kind of a revolution in transport. So over the next 5 to 10 years, as that technology matures, ideally you won't have to, drive your own car and park it. You could just get into a fleet of vehicles, not unlike Uber. If we free up space from parking, that will allow us to, develop more housing or places for new jobs. And so that's something we're factoring into this equation here. And then, there's been really solid commitment through our technical advisory committee, from the 4 cities represented in the JPA to TOC. So this plan is meant as a resource for those communities if they elect to implement TOC. And they've been great. All have been really great partners so far. Next slide. So just looking out over the next several months here. So here we are in summer in August. So if you have the opportunity tonight, we will be at the Corona Night Market. And so you can meet with us, meet with the team, learn more about the project, provide some input as to kind of what your vision is, if there are, near the Corona stations, if there are improvements, you'd like for us to take a look at. We'd love to hear it. And we have a few other pop-up events later this month and into September. So, if you're interested, there is an events page, TOC events page, that staff can direct you to, so you can see when those upcoming events are. And then late October, we will be hosting in-person design workshops. So it's really an opportunity to meet with the team, talk about your vision, for the stations, talk about, the improvements that need to be made, and really help, shape the plan. So by early next year, hopefully that'll allow us to complete the project and develop an implementation plan with funding sources and partnerships that need to be established and potential programs. So there's kind of a roadmap for implementation. Next slide. So not sure if this QR code will work on your screen, but if you open your camera, you can kind of scan it. But that'll take you to the TOC events page that I mentioned. So rctc.org/TOC-events. And if you just stay tuned, we'll be posting. There are a few events that we've posted, one in Paris and a couple of others. But just stay tuned, continue to follow us, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. That was very, very impressive. Thank you for that information. And Jenny, thank you as well. So the next item we have is Measure A, Specialized Transit Presentation by Eric.
Yes, thank you, other TSAC members. This is a receiving file that we're going to have a presentation by Yvette Woolridge for Independent Living Partnership. Just before she goes into it, just to give you some background, every 3 years we have a Measure A specialized call for projects that help specialized transit operators be able to provide for the most needed areas within Western Riverside County. We brought this information to you originally before we released the call and 20, at the end of 2020 when you guys were first starting. So this is a little bit more of an update from one of the recipients. So I'll turn it over to Yvette to lead us through her presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Like Eric mentioned, my name is Yvette Woolridge. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Independent Living Partnership, and I will be describing some history of ILP and how we have worked in partnership with Measure A to provide rides for those unable to use any other form of transit and just driving itself. So I believe you can go to the next slide, please. So the mission statement of Independent Living Partnership is to work to ensure the independence and dignity of the elderly and persons with disabilities, their families, caregivers, through education and access to empowering services and resources. Our purpose is to advocate for those that need assistance to lead more satisfying and rewarding lives, often in spite of significant health and mobility challenges, to access human and social services, and to make sure they rebuild and maintain social network and be able to attend enriching programs and activities to make sure their life is supported in any way we can. Next slide. So Independent Living Partnership started in the 1990s. A few group of Riverside County advocates got together. They helped pass the American with Disabilities Act, and in 1991, they incorporated as a nonprofit Independent Living Partnership, which is now, after 30 years, we're still working and promoting programs that serve the elderly and persons with disabilities in Riverside County. Next slide, please. So after the 90s and working together and becoming ILP, the Riverside County Office on Aging conducted focus groups wanting to know what elderly and persons with disability needed in transportation options. And the conclusion after those focus groups was that they needed to be picked up at their home without having to wait outside in the heat, which 1990 heat compared to now, I'm sure it's a lot worse. Transportation in the comfort of a vehicle, the rides to be free for the rider, and the ability to make trips whenever necessary, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Also, they needed someone to assist them from taking from their home to the grocery store, to the health appointment, whatever it may be, and help them get back home safely, even to put their groceries away. So after this focus groups, the bottom line, it was the TRIP program that was created based on these specific bullet points that the focus groups mentioned in the meetings that were held. Next slide, please. I started working for ILP about 15 years ago, and we always hear from our writers words like freedom, I have independence, I have a peace of mind that I can rely on my volunteer driver to be there and help me even to get inside the vehicle, get out of the vehicle, and things like that. So we've always conducted surveys, and one of the surveys, 98.1% of our writers said that they would recommend TRIP for anyone needing assistance transportation. Next slide, please. What makes TRIP a little different and special and successful is that the rider can be, they can recruit their own volunteer driver. It doesn't matter where they live, because if they have a volunteer driver, the volunteer driver is already a friend, a neighbor. So the location does not impact the volunteer driver being able to take them. They can travel with the volunteer driver in the car. There's no wait times. They can make stops on the way to a grocery store trip or on the way to the doctor. And they can maybe change their mind as they're driving to a destination and stop for whatever might come up. This is some of the service performance of the fiscal year that just ended, June 30th, 2022. And there were about 716 unique countywide riders for the program. There were about 89,563 one-way trips this just last year. And the average cost for these trips are about $8.82. And overall, there were about 1.3 million miles of volunteer-assisted transportation. I do want to point out, this is county-wide data. Measure A does provide for Western Riverside County funding. And Western County, the funding used for Western Riverside County was 433,345, and there were 69,585 one-way trips in Western Riverside County. And also the cost per one-way trip in Western Riverside County was about $6.23 per one-way trip in Western Riverside County. Next slide. And just being continuous partner and members committee like this one here, just continues to give IOP the opportunity to talk to other transit providers and learn what the issues in the community are, and also to make TRIP known and available to those that may not have other options. Riverside County is a huge county, so there's, like we heard, gaps and just services that are needed in different ways. So, TRIP program has been there for 30 years and continues to be here to provide that level of assistance for those unable to use public transportation or for themselves, or those who live in rural communities. So thank you. I don't know if there's any questions, or Eric, if you want to clarify anything in regards to Measure A.
I think, thank you, Yvette, for clarifying that within some of the data tabs. And some of the information was also included in the staff report, and also the first attachment, which included the awards that were just a part of the most current call for projects.
Yvette, I want to thank you so much for the presentation. TRIP is a great program. I wish more people knew about it and that would take advantage of it. So I applaud TRIP for doing such a great job, and it's good seeing you, Yvette.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Gloria. It's been a while, but I'm glad I get to see you virtually.
Thank you. The next item we have on our agenda is item 9, which is the grid alternatives presentation presented by Eric.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and other CSAC members. This is also a receiving file. We have another presentation for you as well. This one is actually going to be given by Lisa Castellone. A little bit about the program itself is that in my conversation with Lisa, Green Alternatives has multiple programs to be able to help with clean mobility, and clean energy. So I'll turn it over to Lisa to let you know a little bit more about Grid Alternatives.
Thank you, everybody. So I've been with GRID for about 13 years. I'm the Community Development and Tribal Program Manager. And I just want to share really quickly about our program, the services that we offer, which kind of ties into why I am a board member here in this group. So thank you. Next slide, please. So GRID Alternatives, we are the largest nonprofit solar integrator in the United States. We have 7 offices, and I'm going to focus mostly on California because that's where we are. We have 7 offices here in California, and we bring communities together for low-income communities in disadvantaged areas, and we bring renewable energy solar projects primarily, and we do this by installing solar on families' homes and businesses, and we incorporate job training, which is really key to a lot of our communities that we serve. So we're bringing this clean, renewable energy and the benefits of reduction in greenhouse gases and helping lower our clients' electric bills. So we're a very mission-driven organization. Next slide, please. So our main funding comes through the state of California here through the DAC-SASH program, which allows our families to pay nothing for solar. So it's essentially no-cost solar. We also are a provider for the multifamily, so if there's affordable apartments, low-income apartments, commercial mission-aligned projects that serve low income, we can also install solar on other nonprofits. And then we're doing microgrids, we're doing access to clean mobility program, and we also are involved in the SGIP, which is the battery pack that are out there today for families to have energy when the power goes down. So next slide, please. We do incorporate, as I mentioned, this job training model. So we bring out volunteers to help us. They can earn certificates while they're learning solar. And I've listed a few of the training opportunities that we have. We're actually opening a training center here. It's going to be opening in, I believe, September, October at our downtown Riverside office. So we'll be having more of this hands-on. We bring folks out. We do like a solar 101, and we get them right out onto the rooftops and start teaching them how to do solar. We provide all the safety equipment, and we do all of the training right away. So it's really a great opportunity for folks to get into this this field of service, and it really builds community. Next slide, please. So how do we do this? How do we identify projects? We get funding from the state of California to offset greenhouse gases, which is the primary thing. So we use some maps from the state to identify areas that have been impacted by high air pollution. So our focus area in the Inland Empire is Riverside, San Bernardino, and Inyo counties. We've installed over 2,000, actually I looked it up today, 2,245 homes. People have gotten no-cost solar. And we use a Cal EnviroScreen 4.0 map. And then if people just type in their address, if they're in the red zone and they meet our income limits, they can get no-cost solar through our program. So we are growing and expanding our program. Next slide, please. To qualify, you have to own your home and live in it. In most situations, you have to meet our income limits. You have to live in one of those designated areas. We do a free home inspection to check your roof. And if you qualify for all of that, it's at no cost to you. Next slide, please. We also are doing microgrids, commercials, and other large-scale projects. We're actually working on the Sabova Reservation today, this week, and next week installing microgrid solar down there on their fire station as part of a package for the fire station will be having these large batteries. So in the event of a power shutoff, that fire station will have energy. Next slide, please. And we also are involved with Access Clean California and working with CARB to bring mobility opportunities with car charging. And if you go on to Access Clean California and you're interested in getting a vehicle, a clean car, there's so many programs out there. You type in your information, it'll tell you what program funding opportunities are available to you. And then we are working on clean mobility options. There's millions of dollars coming out for ride share, bike share, and vehicle demand shuttles that we're working on policy, and we're a lead applicant. So we offer support and information, education, and resources. Next slide, please. And that's it. I just wanted to share a little bit. I know we're over time. I want to thank you all, and I really hope to make our board a really proactive support here in our region. I know we have a lot of air pollution, a lot of cars out there, and there's these beautiful buses, and I just hope we can collaborate to get more folks out there and utilizing the great services that RTA provides. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. The next item we have is CSTAC Topics of Interest. This item for the committee is to discuss and provide staff direction on topics of interest for future agenda items. And in so doing, you received in your agenda staff recommendations and what we should be doing. I think that one of the things that we would like to do is introduce ourselves again and let everyone know your interest in this committee and why you love transportation. And I'll begin with me. I grew up in East Los Angeles, where there was nothing but transportation. We had transportation all around us. And as I kept moving east, it became less and less. And when I lived in the city of La Puente, they just had started their bus transportation, which helped me tremendously because at one time I walked 2 miles, 3 miles to a bus stop. And when we got a new line in there, it almost went to a half a mile to a bus stop, which helped me, got me to the same place where I worked in downtown Los Angeles. But as I continued moving east, again, transportation became less and less. And so as we're growing in Riverside County with all these new homes, and when I'm now that I live in the city of Menifee, we have transportation, but it's limited. And I think that we have to continue looking at, we are growing and continue to grow, and we need to look at transportation as being part of the community, not just something that is a gift to us, but something that when we start building more homes, we need to think about transportation, bus stops, and how to get people to schools, to grocery stores, and make it easier for them. As we age, we find ourselves that we are limited in our driving capacity. We have the trip program to use, which many do, but we also would like to sometimes just do ourselves the favor of getting on a transit and going to the movies, going shopping, going to our doctors. We don't have that ability yet, but we are working on it. And we're lucky that in the city of Menifee, we are going to be doing a pilot program having to do with transportation and how we can get more people from their home to areas in the city of Menifee. I believe in transportation. I really believe that there is a need for it. And again, as we continue to grow more and more transportation, I think we need to get our developers involved in transportation. They can build all the homes they want, but to get people from their housing over to the commercial areas is very difficult. But that's why I believe that transportation has to be the main focus of city growth. And that's why I think transportation is important. So I will leave it to their next person. Lisa, can you comment on why you like this?
Thank you. I also live out here in Marietta, Menifee area, and I see the beautiful opportunities that we have with transportation, but I don't see very many riders. And I have adult children. I talk to them about why aren't they utilizing the bus system more? I grew up back east. There were a lot of buses, a lot of transportation. And I just find it amazing that the buses aren't packed with people. And I question, and part of my being on the board is to try to, I don't know, brainstorm with a group like ourselves to make sure that transportation is accessible in disadvantaged areas, but that also there's a stigma, I think, with taking the bus. And I really want to focus on maybe how we could change that. And I really love the trip program, and maybe we can help get the word out more. I'm an advocate by nature. And so my part of being here on the board is to collaborate to see more people utilizing the bus, disadvantaged areas having access, whereas like the new high school being built, like how can we help incorporate that in the bus system? And then maybe, I don't know, just helping reduce cars on the road. All these big homes being built, they all have 3-car garages. Like there's just going to be more traffic. So it's definitely my heart felt that I'm here on the board to try to encourage people to ride and utilize the services that we have, and then look for ways to bring more services to areas that don't have. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. John, do you want to chime in and let us know your feeling on this?
John Chavez or other John?
Oh, you, John. Look at John Chavez. Sorry.
It's interesting that you allow this kind of discussion. I live in Beaumont, and our transportation system works well. But like you said, planning for transportation while developing an area is extremely important. And in Beaumont, we failed to do so. We are trying to catch up. And catching up doesn't really work. The other comment I had to make was ridership. I still don't see our local buses packed with people. I don't see commuter trains packed with people, but I will say that I spent a little time this last week or so in Oceanside, and we rode the coaster, not Metro or Amtrak, the coaster from Oceanside to San Diego. And I thought to myself, if I still had to ride from San Bernardino to Commerce in Los Angeles, what a nice way it would be to travel back and forth to the office. That was really pleasant. And I look forward to continue working with transportation. I'm interested in rail, obviously. I came from a rail background. So I hope to continue serving. It's been a pleasure and fun for me. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Other committee members?
Hi, Mary Jo Ramirez. And my journey with transportation, if you notice I'm using journey and transportation, began a few years back, over probably 26 years of working with vulnerable populations in the area, providing transportation with the caravan transit system. This provided services in disadvantaged areas of the Hemet, San Jacinto, Winchester, kind of reaching a lot of populations that did not have access to services, and people were isolated because of lack of transportation. So having Caravan, being able to do that door-to-door service for seniors, disabled, and for those with great need was very, very rewarding, just personally, but also it was making a difference in people's lives. You could see that there was a sense of hope with things that were going on in their life, that transportation was able to kind of fill the gaps where things were lacking for them. I also get very excited when I hear things like what we heard today on the transit-oriented communities, and looking more in the future of what our community could look like. And so for me, those are very, very exciting. And I look forward to even doing one of the pop-up meetings, to learn more about that. So transportation for those with the greatest need is where I began. But then as I'm learning from being on this commission, I can see so many of the other needs that we have. Again, hearing the community input, I'm concerned about safety with the hydrogen buses and making sure that's being looked at, and also the safety for students at Liberty High School, and that, we're able to maybe in some small way make that happen. So that's my part.
Thank you so much. Next?
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes. John.
My delving into transportation started when I was a teenager in high school, and it's just magnified through the years when I just recently retired from teaching AP environmental science and chemistry. And my thought is one of the hardest parts was is education of the public. I found it was really, one of our topics is teaching mass transit for the AP class, and it wasn't the students that didn't want to take the bus. Well, they made a joke. I said, "There's no scary people in the bus. I never see them when I ride the bus," and they'd always look at me and say, "Well, if you don't see the scary person, you are the scary person." That was my joke. That was their joke on me in class. But I also found that I had a lot of pressure and a lot of push and red tape to allow from the school districts to allow me to do field trips on buses just to teach kids how to use the bus and how important it was. So it's not just educating people, but it was educating the school districts, because it took me 2 years of red tape for me to get permission to take kids on buses instead of school buses, which cost outrageous amounts of money. And I was just providing, I would take a field trip for a purpose like going to the sewage treatment plant or the botanic gardens at UCR, and and then I would say, well, I'll take the school, I'll take an RTA bus, and we'll just drop our coins in as we walk in, and the kids will learn how it is to ride a bus. But I'm looking forward to getting more people on the bus, especially younger people, and that are still that haven't had the opportunities and still think there's creepy people like me on it. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
This is Sibet again, and I just wanted to mention how he was saying education. When I first started working for ILP, I was like, okay, well, if people need transportation, I see buses. What's the problem? What's the problem? There's buses. And then you realize that there's so many groups of specific people with specific needs or commutes that need to be addressed. And it's still, I talk to clients and they do have that perception of the bus for some reason being scary. Maybe they had a bad experience 20 years ago, and that experience stays with them, and they're just still fearful of riding the bus, even though they live in a different county, a different city. So I'm really excited what he did with high school students, because we're not exposed. So, personally, I don't take my daughter on the bus, which maybe I should, because I learned how to use it, and then she gets to see that the bus is safe. So I appreciate this committee, because that opens my eyes to maybe how we're raising our kids, to make sure basic transportation, public transportation, as a community-based social activity that they should be participating in, and not just see it as well, I'm not going to use that. So I appreciate this committee, and a lot to learn for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. Is there anyone else? If not, I would like to thank everyone here and what they hope to. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
You're okay. I don't know. I just got in this meeting. I don't know for how long it has been going. But I guess we're just doing hearings, right? To hear comments from people about the RTA, correct?
The public hearing has already taken place, Gustavo.
Yes. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Then
So if you would like to email the staff, then you can go ahead and do that. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. Sorry for interrupting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gloria.
Yes.
Also, if everyone was done with that item, I appreciate the little bit of staff direction on some things we'd like to bring back. I did want to highlight as well that, as part of the agenda package, we had included some updates from Measure A recipient. So those things that we may consider thinking about for the next upcoming meetings. And as we've heard about transitioning from CNG to zero emission type buses, we were also thinking about bringing some items also to the C-Stack for some consideration in the future. A good portion of this is also, as we brought before, is some sort of legislative updates that you may want to consider also for the future as they relate to transit or specialized transit. There's also a lot of things that go on many of the committees and commission agendas that we don't really get the chance to really highlight. So if that's something also that might be consider as well. That might help us. And also the frequencies. I know that right now we only meet 3 times a year. We will be looking to update our calendar in December. And with some of the information that you've provided us on helping us to how do we increase utilization of transit, maybe some opportunities to add another meeting in there, if that's something that the CSTAC would also like. So instead of just meeting 3 times a year, we could meet a 4th time to add some additional presentations for information sharing. Staff really relies on CSTAC to disseminate some of this information to their constituency. And if there are items that that CSTAC members would like to see also in the future, they can either email me directly or through this forum. They could also bring up some of those topics as it relates to the agenda items or under the committee member updates. So, well, item was to explore some additional future items, and I appreciate the chair and others to continuously share those updates. If there are other items that you are thinking of that relate to the mission, the purpose of the CSTAC, I'd be very happy to take that information from you and consider that for future agenda items. And if it looks like that we need additional meetings to be able to compensate for that, I would be happy to be able to add those to the next calendar cycle, so that way it's just easier and cleaner to keep track of when everybody's meeting.
Eric, would you like the members to email you with their response to some of these proposed items, especially the frequency of meetings? Or do we want to have input now?
Usually I would love for that, or you can do it here, think about it. You can also provide a committee member at the end. But I would, if there's any other topics that you prefer, I could definitely take those as an email and then consider those for the next upcoming agenda items.
Okay. So I would just suggest that you look at as any of your suggestions for topics to please send it to Eric, and especially the frequency of meetings. I would personally like to see more, but we want to hear from our members. So the next item we have is committee members and staff report. So committee members, I will ask you if you have any updates. I would like to update you on a project that's taken place in the city of Menifee. We are working with Rctc, and also the city of Menifee is working with them to get a transit, a third-party transit company. We're hoping to work with Caravan, has been selected as the vendor that we would be using. I don't have much of an update. I think at this point, they've just been working on the memo of understanding and just getting started on having meetings, which I will be involved in that, and how we can get transportation here. It is a pilot program, and so we will see how soon that will be, and I'll report at our next meeting or as soon as I know the timeline on that. Anyone else have anything to report? Committee members? Staff?
I don't have anything else to update you on. I will just say that there have been a couple of commission meetings that you might want to take a look at. The SRTPs were approved in June, and that we received comments today. And our next commission cycle or commission meeting will be in September, and there'll be a few transit items that we're anticipating to be on that as well. And then I know that Laurel also has a comment as well.
Just one quick update, and hopefully you can hear me. Okay, I'm sitting kind of in the back here. But I wanted to just introduce the CSTAC committee to our new Deputy Executive Director, Erin Haig. Erin, if you're available to say hello and would like to make any comments or anything, you're welcome to.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Laurel said, I'm Erin Haig. It's great to meet all of you.
I've really enjoyed listening to your meeting today and hearing all of the ideas and the enthusiasm you have for this, and we definitely welcome and want your help. So that was great to hear. I just, as by way of background, so you know who I am, I've been at Rctc for 16 years, working in the legislative and public affairs arena for the most part, and most recently helped as we took on responsibility for the Regional Conservation Authority, RCA. So I've been around quite a while. I've worked on transit legislation and rail legislation. Was here when we got the Paris Valley line going. So I've been in and around transit, even though you may not have seen my face before, but I'm definitely grateful to meet all of you. Our team is accessible to you. I'm accessible to you, and look forward to seeing you more.
Thank you. Nice meeting you. Nice having you here.
Thank you.
Eric, anything else?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so I know we've gone over our time, but the next the next committee meeting is scheduled for December 12th at 11 a.m.
Yes.
No further business. We stand adjourned at 12:25. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.